Hello, everyone. I'm Tyler, and I am doing a game with the Gauntlet crew, which, if you watch me, I do a bunch of them with the Gauntlet crew. Awesome people. You should come join us. You can find us at gauntlet-rpg.com. We're on Facebook. We're on G+. We're all over. You should find us. You'll be very happy you did. And I've got, we're down to just 2 in this game. We had a couple of drops, and we have one that we may see at the end, but we can't bet on, which is unfortunate. So, Michael and David, we miss you. But we're going to be playing Spirit of 77, and we're going to be using a module, an adventure, out of the Gauntlet Codex, which is the fanzine Gauntlet puts out every month. It is amazing. It has so many interesting things in it for all sorts of games. Useful, wonderful things. It is worth joining Gauntlet just for the zine, and then you have all the awesome people in games. But this is Codex-Glamour, and we're playing Serious Moonlight. And Serious Moonlight is about David Bowie in Berlin in 1977, where he is finishing up his album Low and working on his album Heroes. There's a cast of amazing, fantastic, glamorous people around him. Iggy Pop and Brian Eno and Romy Haig, all of these amazing people. And we've encountered like Angela Bowie and Bianca Jagger and just all of this cast. We have a group that has heard David Bowie has been infected with something, and the rumor is it's vampirism. Vampirism. Through their investigations, they have been delving into this, and we're going to be hitting our last session here. And in a minute, I'll give a recap. But first, we're going to hear about our cast of characters. I do want to say that we have the Gauntlet inclusivity policy in effect, which is basically that we're all friends here, supporting each other, taking care of each other. This is a place for us to be happy and friendly. Ryan and Patrick are both dearest people to my heart, so I know that that's not going to be an issue. But we also have the X card on the table, which the X card, if you don't know, is for if something gets problematic, something's destroying your fun, something is making you uncomfortable. It is a safety tool that is there to say, you know, can we change this? Can we maybe go back, reframe it, and go forward? It's there to protect us. It is no problem whatsoever. Please feel free to use it. What you would do is do something like this. You could put something in our chat. You could say, Tyler, I think I'd like to X that out. Might ask for clarification. We'll pull back. We'll reframe and go forward. So with all of that gone through, why don't we introduce our characters, and then we'll hear a little bit of our story till now. Patrick, would you like to introduce your character?
So I'm playing John Duke. He goes by Sparks, and he's just a good old country boy from Kentucky who works on cars and grease monkeys with stuff, and there's absolutely nothing odd about him at all. And that whole half of his playbook that talks about aliens or things from outer space is totally just, I mean, that's lies and slanders, and I don't know where none of that comes from. I might have some mild tricks that I picked up from totally being an alien, but shh, don't tell the French foreign agent. He thinks I'm a Russian spy. I play around with stuff. I tinker with things, make weird devices. And oh, yeah. I did drive here from Kentucky. So Kentucky to Berlin, it was sort of a rocky trip, but you know, my truck's special. It can handle it.
Excellent. And Ryan, why don't you introduce your character?
So I don't know what Sparks is talking about. I'm not a French foreign agent. I am Remy Belrose. I am a huge fan of Bowie, and I'm just so excited to be in the same city as Bowie. I've been hitting lots of parties and things. I've also been keeping up with my work. I'm relaying things back home, not in a foreign agent sort of way, but in a, yeah, I'm totally a spy sort of way, which is okay because the guy who was pretty much on to me is unconscious, so that's fine. And Sparks confessed last time that he's a Russian agent, but I don't think he realizes that I'm a French agent, so I've kind of got one over on him. So it's all going to work out. I just need to keep rely on being the hottest one in the party, regardless of what Sparks says, and it's all going to be fine. It's fine now.
License Lander!
All right, fantastic. So what we've done on the last 2 sessions is it took us a bit of getting into town, and we met up at a bar, Chez Romy Hague, which was owned by and performed in by the amazing Romy Hague. If you don't know who she is, you should look her up. And 1977, she's freaking gorgeous. She is one of the great female impersonators. She calls herself a drag queen, only she says it in German. But she, phenomenal. And if you go and look at her now, she's still fierce as hell. She's gorgeous. And love her. So, but they went to her club and encountered some Germans in all black trench coats and black jeans and black turtlenecks and spiked up blonde hair and sunglasses, who came in kind of while they were speaking with Mary Hopkin, who is a pop star. You may have heard of her, but is also married to David Bowie's longtime producer. And the producer, Tony Visconti, and Mary were getting this group together saying, look, David's in trouble and we really need to help him out. Could you just look into it? One of our missing party members is Wrecker, who was an old bodyguard of Bowie's. And Wrecker's like, oh, yeah. And they're planning to look into this when these Germans come up, and they're like, Mary, you should not be here. And Wrecker stands up and blows fire in their face. Not because he's a dragon, but because there was high-octane liquor and a lighter. Poof! They catch on fire. They scream. Their faces split, though, and underneath is something strange and alien and dark. Meanwhile, on stage, Romy Hague and her bionic drag queens leap into action. We come to find out that as our group rushes back to get away from these Germans into a kitchen, Romy looks down. You shall not be here, or I shall put on the funk. And they, and when they don't leave, indeed, the sounds of P-Funk begin to play across the disco dance floor, and they scream and run away. We learn later they also snatched another missing party member, a journalist named Dietrich. Back in the kitchen, the party encounters Romy Hague, who is, really interested, very nice. They discuss that David is having some of these terrible things happen here about the family, which is not his real family, but which are hanging around him all the time. She thinks they're taking his blood. And that he's going to have a concert there at Chez Romy Hague in 2 days. They also hear that at the flat, nobody can get in. He and Iggy live in this place. And our group, once Romy leaves, say, hey, let's go over to that flat and check it out. Maybe we can just go see David and say, hey, what's the deal? They get over there. They see, people smoking pot and tripping and acting crazy and singing songs out front. But one of those German guys at the door, and he's not letting anybody in. And they're like, we know what they don't like. And that is the funk. And indeed, once the music plays, he goes, and runs away. And they open up the doors. And all the people come rushing in. And it's a big old huge party. And Iggy pops up there going, hey, yeah. And they, seeing all this going on, they rush over to the door to David Bowie's apartment. They get in. Inside, they find those 2 Germans who've gotten all burned up. But they have IVs going into them. And as they're watching, they're seeing the skin close over their faces. And Wrecker says, I started something. And now I'm going to finish it. And he throws liquor on them and starts lighting them on fire. Inside the room, Coco Schwab, who is David Bowie's very long time kind of fixture secretary, is going, no, don't do that. That's bad. Stop. And they're like, no, screw that. She starts to pull a gun. But no, Remy goes, I got a gun too. A German comes out of a bedroom. He's very angry. He's like, you get out of here. Fire's going on. Sparks runs over. He has a boombox which has funka going. That German's like, no. But Sparks hits him right in the head with the box. And the power of the funk causes his head to explode. and green, icky falls all over the ground. Spew, 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 spew. They bust into David Bowie's bedroom, but no Bowie. No Bowie. Fire going on behind. Wrecker's taking Coco and just gone, get out, and threw her out the door. Inside of this bedroom, they see, like, you know, one of those old-fashioned computers, got the reel-to-reel little light going, bing, 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 bing. There's a bed. The bed has blood stains on it, and we see an IV that comes from that computer and into just laying there at the bed. So, strangeness. Sparks grabs the reels. Fire going on crazy outside. All three of them are like, oh, this isn't good. And so Sparks dives through the second-story window. We have the slow-mo of the, yes.
To be clear, Sparks thoughtfully opens the second-story window and climbs slowly down the fire escape.
While Remy launches out of the window, looking better than James Bond could ever aspire to look. But no one really sees it besides Wrecker.
That's it, yes.
I'm pretty sure Wrecker and Remy actually closed the window again so they could more dramatically crash out of it.
Obviously, I have standards.
I believe you are indeed correct. As you are moving down the fire escape, the slow-mo of the... I'm pretty sure you actually threw the radio through the window to bust it out. Because we had the moment where the last little bits of the funk, because we had the slow-mo, and it said, the mothership has landed. As it sprayed out. As you went down the fire escape, Remy, just like an acrobat or... what do they call it? The French sabbat style boxers swinging down with ease, and Wrecker instead flying out and smashing into a dumpster 2 stories below and knocking himself unconscious. And that's where we ended. So, is there anything we would like to add to this description before we get going? Sparks, you have come down you're coming down the fire escape, fire going on behind you. Oh, I'm sorry. I did miss one thing. At the end of the alley, we see 2, again, exactly looking the same Germans, the tall blonde hair, the black, with a guy with a bag over his head. And we heard Dietrich's voice. I was just looking for an interview, as they see that at the end of the alley. That's where we stopped. So, Sparks, anything I missed, and what would you like to do first?
Nothing really more than that, you know, there was the giant bag of pink alien vampire high-tech cocaine that I swallowed all of. And it was fun. It made last session interesting. I'm sure I'm totally over it, and there couldn't possibly be any side effects or flashbacks at any time. Past that, I guess we have to fish our friend out of the dumpster that he fell into and throw him in the back of the truck and go screeching after those guys.
We still see them down at the end of the alley with Dietrich.
Oh, then throw him in the back of the truck and go get those guys? Because, I mean, I really don't think he'd appreciate us leaving him in the dumpster.
Okay, so you're grabbing hold of him and rushing towards your truck.
He's also like the one black guy in the movie that sends bad signals. We want to teach kids right.
Probably the only black guy in Germany. I'm sorry for any German watchers. So you're going towards the truck, which is conveniently just at the end of the alleyway. For people who have watched the movie so far, you're pretty sure they parked on the other side of the street. But it is right there at the end of the alleyway when we get the shot up there. Remy, you have, I mean, as acrobatic as could be, come down that fire escape. I mean, it was primo stuff. Anything you would like we missed or remind, and what do you do?
Mine was pretty much the same in that I had, been working this for a while. I had a collection of the red tide cocaine that people think is tied into this whole vampirism thing. And when I was trying to show that to people, Sparks just ate the entire thing and went on this weird freak out and confessed to being a Russian agent, and it was so weird. But clearly that's not going to come back up again. That was really minor in the scheme of stuff. But yes, Remy is going to land lightly on his feet like he does this all the time. maybe he does do this all the time. We don't know. And probably help fish Wrecker out of the dumpster while readying his gun, because he must free Dietrich from whoever these people are.
All right. So we'll have the two of you rush over there to Wrecker, and you can see he's landed heavy here. He's not, he's at that edge of unconsciousness as you pull him out, and he goes, "It's getting more like the last time." As you pull him out, and he just passes out. Down at the end of the alley, those two Germans look back towards you. They see you. They grab Dietrich and begin running with him the other direction. As the two of you, hauling Wrecker, rush down and hop into the car, the truck. You throwing Wrecker in the back, Sparks, or is he gonna be in the middle there of the cab?
Well, he'll be in the back of the truck because, we had to cut him out of this part of the movie because he couldn't make this day of filming. So this means that we don't have to, keep constantly cutting shots around him. He's just, rolling around in the back.
And there is a huge part of me that, they use the same footage. You see him do the same role, several times through the rest of the movie. And we miss you horribly, David, for many reasons, but I really wanted to know about the last job. Oh, well. So, you coming down the alley, or you trying to go around the block to cut them off? What you doing?
I like the idea of going around the block to, screech in front of them and cut them off, sort of thing.
Okay. I think I'm going to have you, just so we can see kind of where you end up in their progress, I'm going to have you roll. Do you have a driving? I know there are some driving moves. Do you have one?
No.
Okay. Then why don't we have you... I guess it's a keep your cool. Unless you think it's a get out of the way.
Is there something about using the stats? Because I have stats for the truck, but I can't remember.
There is, and you have the good old boy, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
I just have the truck as a signature thing.
For the good old boy, if you have that playbook, they get to use the stats of the vehicle when they do other things, as long as they're in it, or get to use their own stats in the vehicle. What are your stats for the vehicle?
2 power and 0 looks.
All right. So you'll be rolling with its power.
Oh, good. It's way better than things like my hustle.
Right. So let's do keep your cool using the power of the vehicle, because you're tearing around. You're making it go as fast as it possibly can.
All right. So, yeah.
And it is X-Tech. We know that. So you might have something that plays with that.
But yeah, so we jump in and he starts it up, and it's just this big rumbling animal growl sort of engine noise as he does a couple things on it. And the truck torques up and sort of goes diagonal, and then wheels spin out as he goes flying around the block with this giant roaring engine to get up in front of them. And hopefully this pays off all that description. Just barely. That's a 7.
All right. So with a 7, there is a flinch or hesitation as you come tearing around the block. You can see that they have gotten into Iggy's. Remember, Iggy had that Lincoln, big black Lincoln that they'd originally grabbed Dietrich from with. Mm-hmm. You see that they are inside of it and they're driving, but they're just getting started. I'm going to give you a choice here. You can tear around there and just T-bone this thing if you want to. Or you can pull in front of it, get around to where you're in front of it, and they would have to stop or hit you. Now,
for that second one, you mean like they get out in the alley before us, but I managed to catch up with them and overtake them? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that one option is they're driving, you hit it sideways and T-bone it. The other one is they're driving, but you've gotten ahead quick enough that you're in front of them and they're going to have to stop. The danger in that is T-bone them, you've done something that, is going to be a big, huge surprise to them. If you get in front of them, they may choose to accelerate and just slam into your truck. Or they may stop and they'll be prepared with their guns. Or they may shoot and kill Dietrich.
Well, without a lot of in-depth automotive physical structure knowledge and that sort of stuff, I'm going to say I would rather be the one T-boning them than them T-boning us. So is that option A?
That's option A.
That one. Option 1.
It is always better to be the hammer than the nail.
Exactly.
And so, I think this is great. They're going to spend some money. So we see you just tearing around, and as you reach the edge, the car's coming up, and we'll get a bit of a slow-mo as it's coming in. We'll flash to you. What's it look like, Remy, inside the cab as you're rushing up? What are you doing? What are you saying as this happens?
Remy's bracing like he's done this many times before, which really, as a groupie, he should not have done this. You don't do that a lot. And still going that. So I hope this car is better at crashing than it is at driving across the ocean. You need to explain that at some point.
And Sparks, what are you saying? What's your face look like as you're hitting pedal to the metal going straight into the side of this Lincoln?
I think the window is down and his beautiful hair is like feathering and blowing in the wind. And he's just laughing and having a great time. Like he's totally into it.
Is Space Odyssey still blaring out of the 8-track, or is it switched to something else?
Sure, I can't think of another Bowie song off right now.
So it's playing as you come in, and we get that kind of jump into the Lincoln as the two Germans in the front seat go. And look all surprised, and the truck smash right into it. It's drug across the intersection, smashing up against the light pole on the other side. I would like for you guys to take a hit or get out of the way.
Oh, and I changed my mind just because my random playlist just changed to it. I'm going to go with Ziggy Stardust.
All right. So your choice here is to take a hit, meaning you're going to be, just in there, solid up, handling it, or deciding to get out of the way, which would be explained by leaping out of the door or something you think of that way. It's probably going to be take a hit. But Sparks, what are you doing? Taking the hit, or you got some clever means of getting out of the way?
I would much rather get out of the way. So I think we get that like one reaction shot over to Sparks, and he's like madly driving and laughing and having a great time, and then reaction shot back over to Remy, and then reaction shot back over to Sparks, and he is somehow like halfway out the window and looks like he's preparing to jump right before it hits so that he can, smoothly skid across the top of the other car and sort of tumble and land on the other side.
Oh, that sounds awesome. It's like jumping when the elevator crashes, you'll be fine as long as you do that.
Exactly. You just have to time it right.
All right. So you're going to be rolling with hustle. Remy, what are you doing? Are you taking the hit or getting out of the way?
I'm getting out of the way, but I'm actually opening the door like a person who knows how cars work. And I'm going to do kind of a rollout and then land in a crouched firing stance because I'm prepared to back this up. I've done this before.
Awesome. Well, let's see if that does happen. You'll be rolling hustle as well. Sparks, how'd you do?
I got a 4.
Oh, my. How'd you do, Remy?
I got a 9.
Oh, that's not bad at all. Remy, as you roll across, there is that bit of scuffing and, probably an attractive looking bit of blood, that sort of just right sort of cut as you come up, crouched down and ready. But you are going to take 1 harm. Sparks.
Wasn't the 7 to 9 the choice there?
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, I'm so sorry. You can take the choice, take half the damage, or take no damage if you want, and you're knocked down, you drop what you're holding, or pick up something, or have to pick up something else, or someone else takes the hit. That's interesting.
Yeah, but unfortunately the DJ picks that and not me, so I can't just say Sparks takes all my damage forever.
Oh,
So
that is
go
me
with
picking
the 1
it.
harm.
Yeah, I took the 1. I went with that, yes. How about you, Sparks? You're going to be taking 2.
Ow.
But you have smashed your truck right into the side of this Lincoln. And it, as you two have flown out of the cab, it hits. And we see Wrecker, or we see what is dressed in Wrecker's suit, go flying over the top of the cab, the Lincoln, and smash through a window in the building on the other side, which says something in German, but underneath it, we see an English subtitle of The Pillow Store. The car is now smashed up. Remy, you are prepared as one of the doors open and you see one of these German vampiric guys kind of roll out, and he looks, he looks shocked and messed up. What you doing?
I don't have Das Funk handy, so I'm gonna smoke his ass.
All right.
Once I remember how you work rolling for your party, which isn't hard, it shouldn't be such a struggle every time. That's only a 7. My goodness.
All right. Well, with smoke his ass, you have a choice. You have to move to get the shot, exposing someone, often yourself, to danger dealt deal your damage, or you have to take what you can get, and you have 1 less damage you deal.
I'm gonna say I have to move to get the shot, so I have to break the cool fire crouch to kind of move out of that. Step forward a bit. Maybe the car door to the car is in my way or something. I look cool doing it, but it's not ideal.
Gotcha. So as you kind of move across, you get your shot off and you fire. What damage does your pistol do? Do you have that written down?
No, I do. It is 2 harm.
Excellent. He's already a little messed up. So as this shot kind of connects into his shoulder, we get the green from him as he staggers back up against the door. Kind of he collapses down, seemingly complete. I mean, just motionless, maybe dead. He did the full as he slammed up against the car, but the other door has opened. And we see the driver step out, pull out his Luger, and fire in your direction. Would you like to get out of the way?
I would definitely like to not be here when that shot connects.
Okay. Roll with hustle.
That's an 8, because apparently I can only get mid results today.
All right. You are enormously quick. And so as you kind of to the side, the bullet strikes your gun, though, flinging it from your hand as you avoid the bullet, but lose your gun. Sparks, you have leapt free, and you also kind of in front of, but in the same trajectory as poor Wrecker, went sliding across the car as you described. He went into the window of the pillow store. You, however, went into the wall of the bakery next door.
It's fine. I'll be fine.
I think, that was a good hit. I think that probably there is a very visible, like, where you landed, your jaw's disconnected. I mean, you look like things have really fucked up.
It'll be good. I just need to. I'll put that back in later. So I sort of stumble around and come back to myself, and there's like, I think you get the like ringing in the ears and the sound slowly fading back in, and oh shit, people are firing guns and stuff. So I shake my head and go diving back towards the car, the whatever they were in, but try and roll under it.
Oh, that's cool. That seems really neat. I think I don't even know if I think you have to roll for that one. I mean, I think you can, in the narrative, fit that. What is it, as you roll underneath the car? What are you wanting to, as you come out from it, do?
I want to stay under there actually for a minute, and I want to use my custom job move. When you take the time to tinker with a piece of normal equipment and spend one supply from a repair kit, do one of the following.
Ooh, awesome. All right, go right ahead.
I'd like to add a trait into the item until the end of the next scene in which it's used.
Cool. All right, you want to say what the trait is, or you want to roll first?
I don't roll.
Oh, well then tell me what the trait is.
Explosive.
Okay. All right.
I'd love to have multiple there. Oh yeah. And I'd love to have multiple traits like timed and explosive, but going with explosive.
All right.
And we'll just have to work quickly to try and get him out of there.
All right. So we have the camera view of you underneath the car working
and pulling out some like wires connected to strangely glowing green things and just like hooking them into random bits under the car. Seemingly random bits, very thoughtful and planned out, and sexy bits.
I think as you're doing this, how do you? I'll have you paint it for me. What underneath this car makes you realize it has already been augmented by people not of this world?
Oh, well, I have the green glowing bits, so obviously I get under there and I go to hook them in, and I find red glowing bits where, just 70s high-end auto manufacturing should be.
Oh, fantastic. The Ford Motor Company did not put this in this Lincoln.
No, this is not factory standard.
Fantastic. So we see that, and we see your kind of reaction to it. Remy, you're up there now disarmed. Across the car, you see him with his Luger. He looks to be trying to take a bead on you again. What are you doing?
I probably can't get to my gun faster than I can close the range, so I'm gonna charge at him and deliver a beatdown.
Oh,
which
right.
I'm not good at, but I'm gonna try.
Hot dang. Gonna slide across the hood, or you?
Yes, of course I am.
Oh, wonderful. All right, roll it up. That's with might.
That's an 11, so I beat everything down.
Oh, hot damn. You clock him. So you deliver your damage to the enemy, and you get to choose one. You avoid any counterattack. You deal great harm. That's an extra one. You deal 1 stun harm. which I've always wondered a little about, but okay. It'll be an extra stun harm, I think. Disarm your target, blind, hold, or otherwise disable them. Give or take something your target is holding or wearing, or push, pull, or otherwise move them.
I'm going to take his Luger.
Oh, perfect. What's it look like? You want to describe how slide across here, what you do?
Well, yeah, Remy takes off running, slides across the car, and kind of takes that across the car hood, and takes that momentum into a flying punch at this guy. There's a fight scene that obviously they got a fight choreographer in for. They've just been kind of flailing for some of these. And lands another awesome punch, and suddenly he's holding the Luger and not the other guy. There was like a quick disarm thing where...
Oh, fantastic.
It was great.
Oh, that's so good. And I think where that one of those punches, we've now got a little rip in the skin. So we see the green underneath. And you're pointing that Luger right at him. She says something in German, which you do recognize. You do speak German. As he says, "You cannot stop the family. I am one of Legion." But he's kind of backing up from you. You shoot him?
I shoot him, and I think I do so while singing a bit of the funk.
Ooh.
Because I know leverage against him, and I'm going to mock him with it.
All right. Normally, this would be smoke his ass. But instead, I would like for you to do a get... It's either going to be a keep your cool or get what you want, because I think it's going to be a get what you want. You're bringing out the funk, and that's really the important part more than the bullet.
Might it be the get in their face?
It might, but I'm better at smooth than I am at might, so I'm inclined to let that stand.
I think it's going to be the get what you want, because you have leverage and you're trying to manipulate someone. And I think that leverage of what we're doing here, I think I'm going to go with that. I think I'll go with the get what you want.
That works for me. And that's a 12, so I get everything I want.
All right. So you're shooting them. One would guess what you want is for them to die.
Yes, it would be very nice if he did that.
Okay. So you can have that happen immediately. You can have that without them asking for something back from you, which I would take as some sort of retaliation at you in their death throes. They do it really well, which will let you describe out how cool this death scene is. Or, I don't think they're ever going to be happy with this bargain. So I think I'll take that one off the table. So which of those would you like to...
I'm going to say they act immediately and without demanding immediate payment, whatever that means here, and I'll let you describe the death scene.
Excellent. I think as you fire, the bullet strikes right into his forehead. And there's that green bit of spray. And for a moment, it's like it doesn't matter to him. He stares at you. But the funk as you are singing it. He starts stalking towards you as the wound begins to expand. And the funk, his head explodes as he stumbles, plop, falling there at your feet. Sparks underneath the car. You see this headless corpse collapse to the other side. But next to the car was the one that was shot first. And it sort of moves and turns his head and looks at you.
I'm trying to scramble out the other side of the car from it, get up, rip open a door, and try and get Dietrich.
Excellent. Why don't we do a keep your cool to grab Dietrich, haul him out, and I'm guessing set off the big boom?
Yes, that would be nice too.
Yeah, I think we'll do this as a big sequence across.
Um,
What you think you're going to use here? Is that hustle? Is it your brains, quick thinking?
I'd like to argue that it's quick thinking, but I think it's probably hustle.
Okay. I mean, I could see an argument for quick thinking.
It's a lot of very physical stuff going on.
Okay.
Oh, that's a 10.
Fantastic. So describe out as you roll to the other side, you get to describe out this sequence.
So yeah, I sort of push and scramble back through the broken glass and get up on the other side of the car and sort of jump into a squat, grab the car door and rip it open, and there's Dietrich inside looking sort of dazed and sort of coming to after the accident. And I don't know, are there any other German aliens inside?
No one else in there, though. You know, you see where where Dietrich's kind of pulled that bag that was over his head up so you can see him, and he does look stunned.
Well, then there, I suppose, here in the middle of Germany with all these Germans staring up at him, blood leaking down my face, and jaw just sort of getting back into place, I say in a very American accent, the opposite of what you'd expect, "Come with me if you want to live." And grab his hand and go running.
A young Arnold Schwarzenegger. We switch to inside of a theater outside of Vienna. That's very good. So, you grab Dietrich. He's, you pull him out. So, what happens when the car goes boom? Do you yell over to Remy first? Remy's kind of right beside, on the same side as you. So, I mean, you've rolled out, grabbed Dietrich, and y'all are right there on the same side of the car.
Duck, Frenchie! I'm going to go running to hide behind my truck because it can protect me from anything.
And I'm going to haul off running like someone just mentioned there was a grenade.
Excellent. And so as you're running, we get the big explosion. And we see your pickup truck kind of go, oof, and backed up from it. It looks scorched, but still surprisingly in good shape.
And yeah. I think this is the sort of situation where, like, we spent so much money and production time on this one, like, pyrotechnics explosion shot. It's one of those things where we see the limo, like, blow up, and then it immediately cuts to a camera at a different angle where we see the limo blow up, and then it immediately cuts to, like, an overhead where we see the limo blow up.
Right, it's all these different angles on the intersection. There are no people around, of course. It's just a car blowing up. All these scenes. We see they did pay for this. We do see several angles of the vampire that had looked over at you as he's standing up, and it explodes. We see his face surprised as the wash of it comes by him. We see a moment of him with the fire suit on, and then the head explodes. Poof! As the explosion, and there y'all are, off to the side. As it cuts back in, looking at your faces, Dietrich, there with you, Sparks. We can hear now, even though there were no people, remember, in our past scene, we hear people yelling and screaming and ah! And we hear from inside of a broken window, there is a man in my pillows! What do you do, Remy?
Well, Wrecker's probably fine because he landed at a bunch of pillows, so I'm gonna run around the car to see how Sparks is doing. And maybe get in the car. I don't know if it can actually move.
You get over there.
Assume that he knows.
You get over there and find him and Dietrich next to the car. Sparks, what are you doing?
you know, we got to get out of here. And like he said, obviously Wrecker is fine. He landed in pillows. What could go wrong? And so I'm like on the other side of the truck, trying to hoist the sort of like form of Dietrich up into the back of the truck. And I think Remy just skids around the side, looks at what I'm doing, looks very pointedly back at the pillow store, looks back at me. I go, oh, okay, yeah, in the cab this time. And we bundle him in, and we go climbing into the truck.
You peel off as behind you. I know in France it's like for the police. I don't know what the German sound is, but it's that. As we have police coming up as y'all tear out of here in your completely inconspicuous pickup truck. With a bit still
blast against it.
You tear off. Do we think we're going to head back to Remy's pad? We're going to go back. That's has been introduced as a place, or Chez Rami's, or somewhere else.
Good with Remy's apartment, I think.
Good with you, Remy?
For me, I'm not going to argue with where our really crazy driver is taking us. So.
And I may open things to the table because there's only two of you. So that's not such a babble. So I may occasionally do that. So we tear off and we see a familiar building front as the car is already parked out front. And you are already up in the apartment. Cutscene. Dietrich is there and he's what's going on? What? I was going to be getting an interview with Iggy.
What with Iggy? We're looking for Bowie. We found Iggy. He's fine or on fire or something happened. Who knows? He probably got out. He's fine.
I've already done an interview with Bowie.
Skin like Iggy, leather probably just bounced right off him.
I've already done an interview with Bowie. Iggy would have been a new interview.
Okay, but Bowie apparently had some sort of setup where a computer IV was set up in his bed, and Iggy seems okay. Bowie doesn't seem okay.
Yeah, Bowie seems a bit like he's on vampire drugs and computers and whatnot, and that's not good for kids these days.
Vampire drugs? What are you talking about? It seems to both of you Dietrich has no clue about what you're talking about. Like the man who you had met originally, who seemed in the know, he has no clue. Doesn't seem to really recognize or know who you guys are. It's like, who are you? What's going on?
I know we met briefly, but do you remember my associate here downing an entire 8-ball of cocaine in one go? That sticks in the mind?
Hi, my name's
Okay,
Sparks.
something's very wrong here, Sparks.
We were in a firefight at a disco club together.
That sounds crazy. I do not do drugs. What? The body is a temple.
I was under the impression your whole thing was like at least half your personality was based on doing a lot of drugs and writing about it.
He seems shocked and again doesn't seem to know who you are.
Did we get a fake, or was the first one a fake, or did they brainwash him?
Wait a minute, are you a robot person?
Robot person? No, absolutely not. This is I will not be staying here. And he seems to be preparing to leave.
Remy, pull out your kitchen X-ray. We need to see if he's a robot person or not.
Kitchen X-ray? Do they have those in Kentucky?
I'm sorry, your guest room X-ray, wherever you keep it.
We don't normally have X-rays at home.
Oh. Yes, it's
certainly not in Germany.
Kentucky thing.
Well, it would appear that a German thing is not to have them. Sparks, as Dietrich has opened up the door. You people are crazy. X-rays inside of apartments. David Bowie doing vampire things. This is crazy.
I'm gonna grab him to prevent him leaving because we don't know who or what he is, and he might be a German funk robot or something.
As you grab him, he starts to, he's struggling to get away, and he, help, help, help! Sparks.
Stop that.
Thank you so much for your contribution.
No, I'm better with things. They don't yell for help so often.
So Remy, he's struggling and calling for help. Do you restrain him, gag him, throw him out the window? What do you do?
I think I'm getting in his face to do the, okay, I don't want to hurt you, but I will if you don't shut up. We need you to answer some questions.
Excellent. All right, roll get in your face.
And that's a 10.
Ooh, you are rolling well. You get to choose 2, and I get to choose 1. You see them there? I won't go through them. There are quite a few.
Yeah, there's a ton, man. I'm going to say that they don't force me to carry out my threat, because I don't actually want to kill Dietrich. He seems like a nice guy. Especially given that he's not here, and that seems mean. And
it escalated quick. The killing him was the go-to.
Well,
tell me what I want to know.
Dietrich.
I'm going to kill you.
And they don't try to deceive you.
And I'm going to open this up a bit rather than do that minute to minute. He does not seem to remember at all anything he talked to you about. He is talking about he was supposed to, some contact said I could interview Iggy, and that would be a huge gain. If you bring up, Angela Bowie, who he mentioned to you when you first met, doesn't think he says he's never met her or talked to her, has no clue what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, and my question's also sort of trying to figure out so were we talking to someone impersonating him or something?
This is absolutely the same person.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to look at Sparks like, do the Russians know something about this?
I don't know. No, this is really good brainwashing. I ain't never seen nothing like this outside of movies.
And he's saying, I don't want any trouble. Just let me go. I don't have any money. But, he seems scared and, again, not a clue what you're talking about.
I don't think he knows anything bad about us, except the whole potential attempted kidnapping charge thing. But we're just being good Samaritans, helping off the street and stuff.
Yeah, and that's what you do when someone appears to be having a drug-addled freak out. You don't let them wander off into the night.
Drug-addled freak out. Yeah, cops really fall for that one.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say that. Okay, we're not gonna hurt you. We don't want to hurt you. It was nice meeting you back when you remembered me. But I suppose you're free to go.
Thanks. Thanks. And he heads out down the stairs. I'll go to the window and look out. You see him as he comes out. He's looking up. He's kind of freaked out. He starts moving away. As he does, moving down the street. It's now moving into evening. You see a tall German with blonde hair and the black coat step out in front of him. You see him kind of say something to him. That German, just rapid as can be, reaches out, grabs him by the chin, snaps his neck. Drops him. Looks up towards your apartment. And even from this distance, because the camera does close up, you see him smile. And there is nothing human about that smile. The teeth are like one enormous plate with 2 little fang bits. And you, Sparks, you recognize something about that. Something triggers in your mind. That is the smile of someone from the Ghoul Star. And we're going to kind of close that. We'll have you guys discuss. But I'm going to take a break. We're going to take a 5-minute real quick. I do have something for us to listen to, so you can turn it on your speakers and listen to it if you'd like. But we'll be back in about 5 minutes and decide what we're doing from there. As I would like to look at my notes for a minute and decide what we're going to do with just the 2 of us. A little different than I had planned. So here is a little interlude music for our first break, and we'll be back in about 5-6 minutes. for anyone at home, you too can listen to We Got the Funk by P-Funk, which was what our interlude music was. Which is, oddly enough, a 5-minute song that sounds a lot like the last 20 seconds of most songs, because it just kind of sounds like the end of a song all the way through. Good song, though. So, when we get Ryan back, I think we're going to kind of have that coming together. There's Ryan.
I wanted to say something real quick, just because that last sequence, the get in their face move. I remember from the very first time, like, we watched Rich run a session of Spirit of 77, and he got to the get in their face move. He was like, I don't really understand the structure of this move. And I've never really understood the structure of this move until that last sequence, which actually stuck it in my head. And I think what was confusing me and what made it make sense is the implied but never actually stated that you're going through these choices one at a time sequentially. So rather than we all make choices at the beginning, you know, the player and the GM, and we figure out what that scene looks like, it's like, okay, I'm making this choice and I want the outcome from it, and we talk about that. And then I want this choice and I want the outcome from that. And then the GM makes a choice, which makes the GM choices make more sense, because you're generally looking at it like, okay, how do I end the interrogation scene? I make this choice. That may be sort of dumb, but it's just never clicked in my head before.
Did it feel like it worked this time?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I chose the they flee or otherwise get away.
Yeah, that made sense.
Ryan, any thoughts? We'll have a Rose and Thorn at the end of this.
I was just going to say that clearly you've never seen a French professional go about an interrogation, and I was glad to educate you.
You're so kind and giving of your expertise.
All right. So, let's... I feel like I've got a good idea for how we're driving forward story. So, you've just seen a murder. I want to give the implication here to kind of inform what's going on. Dietrich probably felt like he had been kidnapped by two people. And very likely, having looked back and knew where he was going to go to the police. I want us to, after having all of this, you know, having dealt with him and him running, that's sort of the implication we get. Maybe for the viewers of the movie, we see him as he's leaving, saying, you know, talking, they're crazy, you know, and as this German steps out, he says, something is wrong. I've been kidnapped. I need the police. Oh, have you? Crack. Drop. Look back up at you. You see this look. Ooh, alien person. You sort of recognize Sparks as he's looking back up at you. And the look he's giving is kind of a, I solved your problem look. And yeah, that's a lot of subtext from a look from across a block, but we do some close-ups. You know, the director feels like that's conveyed. But, you know, as he does this, he then steps back into the alleyway. The two of you are up in the apartment. What are you doing? And I again, there's just two of you, so you can, like, roleplay at each other. So roleplay.
Gross.
A role-playing game? Ew. I can see as Remy's seeing this that it crosses his face like, oh, that's a problem solved. And then, I didn't want that problem solved. Ew, sort of thing, where he's not going to vocalize it, but this is convenient.
Maybe we should head somewhere else before cops start asking the neighborhood about corpses on the block.
Maybe. And I don't have any funk stored in here, and we might want some.
We are fresh out of unbusted speakers.
Got the truck.
I don't know. Do you know anybody in town? That nice club owner lady's about the most useful person I've met so far.
So I've got a move called I Got a Buddy, which seems like it would be appropriate at this point. So I'm sure I know someone who at some point served in a French military that's in Germany right now.
Absolutely. Berlin is still partitioned, and that means there's British, American, and French who occupy Berlin at the moment. So, yeah, there are NATO troops. There is a very strong French presence here. There is a massive spy set up in Berlin at the moment from a lot of folks.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, we don't want to go to any Germans. We can't trust which one of them are vampires or not, and
And it's going to
the
look a little weird
Americans.
if we start playing the funk at them before we talk to them.
Yeah, the Americans wouldn't be any help at all in this situation. We definitely should not go talk to them Americans. They wouldn't know anything of any use, be able to do anything, or they probably just kick us out and yell at us. They're actually real mean and stink. You just don't want to go near them. You know any Frenchies?
And Mary's just nodding along like, yes, of course you don't know any Americans. You're Russian. The Russians aren't here right now. But yes, yes, I'm sure I can find us someone who would help. And I don't even have to get a former person. I can get someone who's actively involved there. So yeah, let's say that I know another agent who's currently working on something else in town.
All right, then. So, how do you want to get in touch with them? Do you just go and do you give a call? Do you know somewhere to go find them?
I probably give like a really quick code sort of call to a disposable number kind of thing, and then go meet at a location, which is the signal for it's not awful, but I do need to talk to you.
Excellent. All right, then. You hop in the truck and drive, and we'll find a park. Somewhere that people are acting completely. We have nothing unusual going on here in their trench coats, and it's just trench coated people passing by each other, sort of thing. Fountain going.
Parc des Espions or something.
I have to say, I feel slightly underdressed.
As you move into this park to a particular bench underneath a particular tree next to a little monumental sign, you sit down, and a few moments later, a man comes over and sits down beside you on the bench. There hadn't been pigeons before, but as he sits down, some come over and he begins throwing breadcrumbs to them. You're needing me.
Yes, something's gone a bit amiss in the Bowie investigation.
He looks over towards Sparks.
And I also look towards Sparks, because does Sparks understand what we're saying in French?
Sparks is just whistling and throwing some bits of a muffin or something to the birds, and doesn't seem to Frenchy talk. Why would I know that?
I'll say it to my French associate. Yeah, I'm pretty certain he's a Russian agent, but so far he's been helpful. And I'm not sure he speaks French, but let's be careful anyway.
I look up and see them both, like, obviously staring at me, and I just smile and wave and toss some more breadcrumbs.
Even the pigeons are kind of giving the side-eye look around as they pick up the bread.
He says he drove here from Kentucky. He's a strange person.
Well, we're under the impression that the Bowie incident comes from the Soviets. You sure you could
seem
trust
to know anything about it? I mean, I found some of that red tide cocaine. I'm sure you've heard about that so far. He downed the entire thing like he'd never seen or heard of it before. And he didn't die, which is impressive, but he kind of freaked out.
Were you involved in the fire at Bowie's flat?
Yeah, that didn't go as well as I'd hoped, but we did find Bowie's place. He had some sort of setup, like he has a computer IV at night, but he wasn't there.
We've been hearing that they've found some sort of resource, an element. That's what they've been using to make this red tide. If do you think they were pumping it into Bowie or something else?
Possibly. We got the reels from the machine, but I don't think they're going to have the red tide itself in them. And I've only gotten the one sample, which I suppose conveniently our agent friend ate.
He reaches in a pocket and pulls out a baggie in case you need it.
Okay. Tuck it into my coat.
We've done some analysis on it. They're very strange compounds. Some of them we simply do not recognize. They must be Soviet. Do you have a means of reading this information? Or should we take those off your hands?
I don't have any way to read it. He seems resourceful mechanically, but probably better to give it to you. Especially to have it in French hands rather than arguably Soviet hands.
Do you trust him enough that we could take him somewhere and read it together?
I think so. And if things go wrong, we don't need to keep him.
That's true. Another lost American will not be a surprise. Agent Belrose, I'm going to put this on you. Bring him with us? Or should I take the reels?
I don't mean to interrupt, but your friend, he keeps looking at me all funny, and I know you said I didn't need a hat to come into this park, but I'm really wondering, should I have bought a hat?
No, it's fine. He just hasn't seen anyone from Kentucky before.
Oh, well, tell him hi from me.
He smiles.
So he has the equipment we need to view those reels that you got from Bowie's apartment, but we're going to have to go to another location because obviously he doesn't have it with him right now. There's no way you can make that portable.
No way at all. That would be unthinkable. Just out of this world technology. I mean, out of this time technology. I mean, let's go to his place.
All right. He says, he hands you a card. Meet me there. He stands up and throws the last of his breadcrumbs out and walks away. The pigeons kind of look around, almost like they're worried about something, and then they fly off.
I read the card as I'm pulling a cigarette pack out of my coat and light one, light the card, and hello, Sparks, I know where we're going now.
Well, I hope your memory for numbers is good. I mean, what if you forget the address? Like, was it 305 or was it 350? Can you even tell me now?
Don't worry about it.
I think we'll say you remember, though Sparks may have tried to force us to keep your cool on that one. As you get back to the truck and you go through the streets of Berlin, you come to a laundromat. Moving through, as you come in, you see There are a couple of people, washing clothes. The person behind the desk, though, looks up and says, "Ah, Mr. Bellerose, I have your laundry this way."
Oh, perfect. I'll say in a thicker French accent than I really need to, and wait for Sparks to come along.
Takes you behind the counter, behind some clothes that are hung up, to a door. Opens it. There's a stairway down into a basement. Inside of there are all of these, very big blocky computers, blinky lights, things going on. And you see that man there. And he looks up. "Good, you made it." And Patrick, you're muted.
No, I'm not. You just weren't listening hard enough. I think as we're like being escorted into the back of this laundromat, and then going through a heavily locked door, and then down a basement into a secret spy tech lab or whatever, Sparks looks completely nonplussed, because to him, like, he doesn't know what's inside a laundromat. He's never been into one. All of this seems perfectly normal. And to Remy, because he's a Russian spy who speaks French and knows exactly what's going on, and all of this is completely what he's expecting.
And so you get down there, and this gentleman, he'll move over to one of these computers and ask for the reel-to-reel. Sparks, you give it to him.
Yeah, I'll look back and forth to Remy real quick.
Does Sparks betray that he understands French at this instance?
Well, no, you said we were coming here to show him the thing, and he put his hand out. I sort of looked to you.
I kind of nod.
All right, but he better not hurt it. I mean, I can do that. I know how to work one of them things.
He puts it up there. He looks back, and in an extremely feeble attempt to help protect Remy's cover, he goes, "I do music production."
Oh, well, that's convenient.
Puts it up there. It begins. Lights. Out from a printer. Things begin pulling out. It reads the massive amount of information, which is a good 5 or 6 pages. He pulls them off rip. Hands them to you, Remy. As you look down, you can see that apparently this computer is able to interpret exactly what this was, as it gives a description down that removing certain elements from the subject and begins putting up, we have techno-babbly symbols on this sheet of the things they're pulling out. And talking about the subject must rest. We have been trying to only bring out as much as they can handle, but he seems so thin and pale. And going through that down this sheet, and in there discussing that the project shall soon come to fruition. We shall have all the agents in place, and the red tide shall sweep across West Berlin.
Well, but that don't make no sense there. That formula's wrong, and well, this whole process is far beyond the current German technological paradigm.
Which I'm gonna give you this, Sparks. As you look at it, there's no doubt in your mind the elements they're pulling from the subject are alien.
Wait, does that mean David Bowie is an alien?
Bum, bum, bum.
While I was saying that, the build-up intro horn section to Let's Dance was playing in my ears. It was amazing.
All right. Remy, Sparks, you have this information. Your agent friend has also looked at it, and he's not betrayed anything, but, when he looked at it, sort of thing. So I leave it to the two of you to decide your next move. I'll recap real quickly. We know in another day at this point, because it's now nighttime, not tomorrow, but the next night is going to be the concert at Rami Haig's that Bowie's supposed to attend. We also know that Bowie, not in his flat, almost certainly is at the chateau. And we've discovered there's some sort of thing they're generating out of him. Oh, and in this, as this print up is written as you get to the bottom of it, the facilities in Warsaw are prepared. We will begin mass production soon. Now, why that was on the computer reel to reel, you don't know. Yeah, it's just something embedded, I'm sure.
I wonder if you could ask your friend there if he has any, like, large quantities of cocaine or some other inhalable drug that I could do some experimentation on. I mean, it'd be easier if we had some of that original substance, but it got lost somewheres.
By experimentation, do you mean eat it again, or do you have a more scientific method planned?
No. That was part of the studying process. Now I am fully and utterly ready to tinker.
Okay, I'm sure we can get a hold of some. Wait.
Excellent. Excuse me, sir. Haben Sie ein chemistry set?
he looks at you. Yeah?
Excellent.
And indeed opens up a door at the back of this room. Inside is that full set. I mean, like the beakers, the lights. It's like it's a whole different set.
Yeah, I mean, this is all normal. This is basically all what I keep in my basement, so,
All right.
So my sort of general plan here is I had that cutting edge where I can study X-Tech and then I could use my good with your hands move on it, which is given enough time, tools, and parts, you can fix, fabricate, or assemble just about anything. When you need to repair, assemble, or modify a normal piece of equipment, tell the DJ what you want to do, and they will tell you what you need and how long it will take.
Okay. So what are you wanting to do?
Basically, I want to make like an aerosol bomb of this stuff that is keyed in to affect whatever those weird vampire aliens are instead of me or hopefully humans, but more importantly, me.
All right. And so altering to where it affects them instead of other people.
Yeah. To where it's like a gaseous airborne thing that's very fast acting and it's going after the alien metabolism that it was made from rather than being targeted towards human metabolism.
Okay. All right.
Are you trying to distill the essence of funk and add that to it?
I am now. Okay. So, I'll just ask that maybe part of what we need to gather in equipment and stuff is going to every like local record store and just buying their entire funk section of vinyl.
Excellent. And I think that seems like a montage scene, right? Going into midnight record places and you're picking up Earth, Wind, and Fire and P-Funk and all these. I am sadly lacking in a lot of funk references.
But you get to lay out basically our scavenger hunt / ingredient list of what we need here to make this.
All right. For our purposes of time, I think we're going to montage as you're going through the night. But as you're stopped at one of these and you Sparks have gone in, you're still outside, Remy. Just kind of waiting by the truck. As from one of the alleys steps one of our German vampires, looks across to you. Remy, I have seen you around Mr. Bowie's flat, and now you seem to be ever so interested in what we're doing.
Of course, I'm interested in anything that gets me closer to David Bowie.
Ah, yes. How would you like to be with David forever? I can give you life eternal, and you will bask in Bowie's presence.
So, how much does this go for? That sounds like more than a backstage pass. Lifetime pass?
Oh, it will not cost you much. Certainly nothing you will miss. Come with me. Abandon this search.
I think we can see Remy take a second to be like, so how far do I follow this cover? This is such useful information. And as he's about to go with him, he pulls that Luger out from his coat and is like, nope, sorry, not today.
Oh, fantastic. Do you go ahead and just shoot him down, or do you threaten him away? What are you doing?
I guess I might as well try to just aim the gun at him and see if I can get more info out of him before I shoot him. I don't want to shoot all of my leads.
So let's get in their face.
That's an 11. Apparently I'm done messing around.
Damn, you are on fire. All right. So you're going to choose one, I'm going to choose, or two, and I'm going to choose one. So looking down on what do you do?
I'm gonna say they give me what I want and they don't try to deceive me.
All right. What are you asking then? Before I choose mine, what do you want from him?
I want to know what this whole vampire thing is about. Like, can he transform people into vampires? Is Bowie a vampire?
So as you come with the gun closer, he's looking, and he's heard reports that you have the power to kill. And he says, no. Soon we will sweep across West Berlin, across all of Germany, across Europe. The red tide is growing. Bowie has the secret in his blood. You can be with us. You will live forever. We shall bring a brand new world. It shall be a Soviet world.
So the red tide is tied into all of this, obviously. Is just doing it enough?
It's more do it, more will want it, and it will begin to change their human metabolism.
Probably there would be swear words, but they probably got cut because we're pushing the ratings enough already with all of our drug usage and stuff. And just got sparks, and I'm gonna shoot the guy.
And I think I was going to choose you have to carry out your threat. As you've gotten close enough and he thinks he can leap. He reaches out for you. Bam! The gun goes off. He staggers back. Sparks, you hear the gun and you hear Remy say, Sparks! What do? You come out, you see this scene of him staggering back.
So Sparks comes rushing out with like 8 bags on each arm full of records, sort of thing, just waddling under the weight of all this vinyl, going, I think we got enough. We got enough for the confunction bomb. Let's go.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Confunction, underrated funk band.
And so, as Remy, you look back to Sparks with all of this. You look back to the guy who staggered back, the green kind of glow coming from, fluid coming from. He staggered back towards the alley, and seems to be, running from being shot. You didn't funk him; you just shot him.
I can't. Well, I'm gonna try flinging one of these records at him and see if being hit with the funk works.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna alter. So as I come running up and I'm diving in one side of the car, I just pull out one record and sling it across the hood, so it comes spinning in slow motion towards your hand.
Oh, that's fantastic! Let's smoke his ass.
Does that mean that I've got a brother helping me out or something?
I think so, Patrick. Why don't you help a brother out?
Yeah, and then you can beat down on him.
You have at least one hook.
Oh, right. Let's see. Where the hell are my hooks? Remy, yes, I do.
That's +2 then. Why don't you roll help a brother out?
That's right, because we evolved things over the course of it.
Mm-hmm.
Boo. That one, and also that one, and reroll, and that's an 8 + 2 is 10.
Woohoo! They roll with something extra. All right, Remy, are you going over and just battering him with this record, or are you gonna zip it across like a frisbee?
I was thinking zip it across like murder frisbee of funk.
Nice.
A funk frisbee it is. Let's have a smoke their ass.
It's a good thing he helped me out because I totally bombed that one. I just barely got a 7 with the assistance.
Choose one. You have to move, which will expose you
with a frisbee before. I've never had to kill someone with a frisbee before. This isn't part of my training.
So you're gonna have to move, exposing yourself to danger, or you have to take what you get and deal 1 less damage, which will probably mean he will escape, which will alert people.
I can't let him escape, so I'm gonna move to get the shot.
All right. So as you move across and fling, the funk catches him solidly in the chest. And I think it sinks in, and he goes, Das Funk! And it spreads across as he starts ripping, and his body dissolves, and only his head's left. It's a twist. Boom, boom. It hits to the ground. But the record store owner had stuck his head out and goes, Guten Hummel! And starts yelling for the police. Sparks, what are you doing? You've just seen this.
I'm yelling at him to get in the truck as I'm revving it up, and we're going to get the hell out of here.
Fantastic. Let's roll a get out of the way.
Nice.
So I'm going to adapt for this.
Should I use the truck stuff, or?
Yeah, you can use the power of the truck.
I wonder if there's a meaning to, or a particular mechanical meaning to sluggish. But the truck has sluggish.
Ooh, that does mean it's kind of slow.
Maybe interpret that as you will.
Mm-hmm.
It's good might, though. So that's only a 12.
Oh, my.
Or with that, do you want, sluggish to be disadvantaged, maybe?
Yeah, let's do that.
Roll that one, too. So that's only a 9.
All right, well. You tear off as you begin to hear the sound. I imagine a whistle, but you hear the sound of the police coming. And you're tearing around, and they've made the sort of calls that, the police are now moving through the city. And you're having to, peel around to, avoid them. And it is about that time that you hear a sputter, sputter, sputter. of the truck. All of this explosions and this tearing about. It sounds like, and of course the trip from Kentucky, it's out of gas.
Oh, this is rather embarrassing. I am so sorry. It's one of those things where you tell yourself you're going to stop before you go to work the next day because, you know, you have less than an eighth of the tank, and that was fine to get home, but you really want to get home. But, you know, the next day you're going to be responsible. You're going to get up and leave a couple minutes early, and then you're going to fill up the truck. Well, I seem to have forgotten to fill up the truck since coming into the continent.
You got all the way here on one tank of gas?
Well, don't be ridiculous. That is totally unreasonable. I got here on about 2/3 of a tank of gas, and I've been running around on the remainder ever since.
Remy's just staring, utterly gobsmacked, before grabbing a handful of records and letting himself out of the car because we've got places to go. And what on earth? We're off of Earth.
You know, it's one of those, like, standard to metric conversion things.
You don't convert gas when you cross countries.
And so we, leaving the truck behind, rush back to the lab through the laundromat, and I believe you begin constructing aerosol funk red tide cocaine.
Yes.
Does that require a roll? No, we already did that, didn't we?
That was a slightly different one. It does not require necessarily a roll, but part of the requirements of like what you need and how long it'll take, if there's a roll that you want me to make, it's definitely a move that's open to that.
Gotcha. Now, between the two of you and with what you've established thus far, what is the plan once you succeed at this?
My best thoughts for finding them are work up some sort of radio thing to trace back in, sort of like we did before, or go to Rami. I can't think of any other way to find higher up the pyramid. Ryan?
Yeah, Ryan?
I mean, we could go back to Iggy Pop, but we burned him down, so... yeah, the radio or Rami Hug sounds like a good idea to me, although I do want to, as Sparks is working on this, or maybe before he gets into it, mention that the German vampire thing, Soviet vampire thing actually, told me that taking the red tide is the first step to becoming one of them. So, are you feeling okay?
Wait, you saying he weren't German?
He told me it was a Soviet plot.
Does that mean...
Too long, too pointed look at Sparks.
Does that mean all the vampires are damn Ruskies?
It may very well.
That is downright nauseating. Well, we gonna go stop him or not?
He's so good at keeping character. How does he do it?
God bless America. Okay. So I will bring up, we at least know of the chateau, and I think, though it may have been Wrecker, you had like a set of keys to get into the chateau.
And that's where Bowie is. I keep forgetting that that's what I want to go do, because other stuff keep coming up.
Because it was you, one of you got a set of being able to get in, like the master key to go through into it.
I don't remember if that was me, but yeah, they're totally in my pocket now.
Absolutely they are.
Yeah, and I was sort of thinking about it meta-wise, and going through a scene at Rami's to get to the end scene is probably more than we want to load on here.
Mm-hmm.
So either following a radio or perhaps already knowing but not realizing that we knew where it is or something. I'm not sure what exactly we're at.
Or as we're driving up, it sure was great of Robbie to give us the address and also the keys.
That's it. We just have a shot of us peeling out of her parking lot.
Right, exactly. She's waving from the front of the thing.
This time I'm stuck in some, like, sensible, compact French car.
Right. Well, it's probably Rami's car, so it's probably fabulous.
Good, as long as we're not fitting in. That's the only important thing about my ride.
Right. It's probably like a pink hearse or something.
Oh my god. Keeping this car.
And so, yeah, as we look back through the rearview mirror, Rami's getting a few more bucks from production day. She's waving at the front door, and the Diamond Dogs are around her. They're all waving as you leave. And you're heading towards the chateau, which, by the way, is Chateau de Huraville, which we've heard about. Built in 1740, said to be haunted by the ghost of Chopin, who died of consumption there. Bowie has been recording there. Brian Eno's living there. You heard some rumors that Brian Eno's been talking to spirits inside of there. There was some security. The actual wrecker's friend is there guarding. You were told that you have the keys. You can open any lock, but people seeing you there, you know, they probably won't want you there. And it's also where all of David's family is surrounding him. And it is on the outskirts of Berlin. It is in West Berlin, in the area of West Berlin, but it is very close to the border. So if you went too far, it would definitely, you'd encounter the barbed wire. The Berlin Wall doesn't extend all the way here, but there are the security points and all of the, it would not be easy to cross the border if you go past it. But it itself sits on a rather beautiful estate. The bombings of Berlin did nothing to it. It was outside of the city center far enough that the bombings never encountered it. And I think this is probably not historically accurate, but I think it falls in the French protectorate area of the split between Britain, America, and France in West Berlin.
I think on our trip out of the city, across the countryside there, at some point we like stop at a petrol station, and there's this very confusing sort of slapstick scene as Sparks doesn't understand like where to pull up or which side it is, and Remy has to very confusedly and like with a lot of eyebrow work slowly explain to him it's on this side, and you take this hose and you put it in the car. But I'd like to spend a few minutes there working on Rami's car and spend my last supply.
Ooh.
And so I do a few minutes tinkering under the hood, and when I'm done, I sort of slam the like brilliant lavender hood down, and there's this almost unnoticeable like shimmer of extra color and sort of sparkle that goes across the car, and I'd like to give it an armor point.
Oh, excellent. All right.
So that we can get in bullet fights or ram it through walls or something fun.
Fantastic. And so you head out of the city center and into the kind of countryside of the, you know, almost siege nature of West Berlin's environs. Because keep in mind, it's not just the city, it's the bit around it. But Soviet control is all surrounds it completely. West Berlin was a little island completely surrounded by Soviet-controlled area. And so in this little island, as you're kind of moving down, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous countryside. And as you come over a rise, because in everything I play, you always come over a rise. I love rises. As you come over a rise, you look down towards this beautiful chateau. And you can see that it has a wall around it. And as you're coming down the road towards it, you could see two of those Guys in their black, standing at the front gate. What would you like to do? Remy or Sparks?
How much of a gate are we talking about, and how far apart are they?
They're on either side of the gate. The gate itself is, it's probably like a 20-foot gate. It's a double sealed thing. An armored pink lavender hearse might be able to hammer its way right through. Who knows?
So,
Now, and you have your aerosol red tide, correct?
slash funk bomb.
Funk bomb. I want to establish, because we're fixing to get into sounds like our big climax. Did we bring anything else with us before we get there? Remy, is there anything you're bringing with you? You've got the Luger we've taken in fiction. Anything else you wish to bring with you?
I still have a packet of red tide. I think I didn't give him all of it this time because I know that if you show him how much you have, it's all gone. And I think that's probably about all that I've got with me besides my fashionable outfit. I didn't start off with a lot of gear.
Okay. And you could have picked up other things along the way. I was wide open on that. Sparks, anything you picked up?
I'd like to have slapped together another boombox from Wrecker's brilliant inspiration last time.
Excellent. All right. And I'm guessing a bit of funk to play. All right. And so, what are you doing at these gates?
I think as we come over the rise and see this in front of us, I just turn to Remy and wink and say, I'm pretty sure they're expecting us. And just step on the gas all the way to the floor.
As you step on the gas, and there's that kind of sparkliness to the hearse, it rushes down. We see the two guys in their black trench coats see you coming, and they sort of step like they're going, oh, they'll stop here. They look all, but you wham! They jump to either side as you hit the gate, burst it open. We get a bit of a sparkly purple effect as it hits. And as it hits, maybe it's the vibration. Who knows? As you tear into the big round driveway in front of the chateau, Rummy's 8-track player suddenly starts playing, and we're going to take our last break. And here is our musical interlude, and we will be back in 5 minutes for our climax of Serious Moonlight. And for those of you at home, I will be putting the a link to all of our soundtrack for these sessions in the description. We just heard Heroes by David Bowie, a live recording from '77. And we have about an hour left, so we're going to push probably pretty hard into this last bit. And then I'd like for us to do a Roses and Thorns, because I thought this was a neat adventure. So I'd love to hear people's opinions. Hello, Patrick.
Hello.
Isn't he handsome in that?
Yes.
So thin, so pale. But he had feathered hair, which is very nice.
I'd just like to say for the camera that the tag team of Patrick and Tyler have nearly killed me twice tonight by choking. So if you don't see me again, it's their fault.
Our plan is nearly complete.
It's like the Ring. Each session, we lose one more person.
Wait a minute. Who goes next session?
And so, this hearse burst straight through these gates. The refrain of Heroes blasting out of its extremely good sound system. Sparkles flying from it as it skids to a halt right in front of the chateau. Running out of the chateau, we see four. Probably, for those of you sitting in the theater, it's the full cast of the four Germans that we've seen in various points through the thing, but they look very similar. Come running down out of the door and down the stairs. They have Lugers, they have angry expressions, and they look like they mean business or business.
And can I make one slight modification?
You may.
So as we come, like, screeching and swerving around where it looks like we're coming in for a dramatic stop right in front of them, and that's not what we're doing, because the wheels have not fallen off this thing yet, so we're not done. So I'm going into, like, a swerving, screeching side swipe to try and hit them, and either, like, directly hit or maybe, like, roll and tumble into the front door itself. I think roll and tumble. That sounds more exciting.
So you're trying to hit that with my side of the car?
Yes.
Thanks.
No problem.
Well, I think this sounds like deliver a beatdown using the car.
Alright.
So you can use its might.
Or its power. What sort of power
Sorry.
do you want to give it?
See, it's a hearse, it's Rami's. You've done a little souping up. I'll give it 2.
Nice. Okay, that is different. I was going to say it ended up the same, but no, it was 1 better. So that's 13.
Well, Katie barred the door. That is impressive.
I'm sorry, what just fell out of your mouth?
I'm sorry. You're from Kentucky. I was trying to be in vernacular.
Oh, I see. Sorry. Just caught me off guard.
Hoo-wee! That's a mighty good hit. How about that?
Hooey, indeed.
Indeed. And so, you deal your damage to the enemy, and you get to choose one. I'm going to say the damage from this car is like 5. I mean, you're smacking into people with a car, which will be considerable. But you get to choose. Avoid any counterattack. Add some harm to that. Keep in mind, we've seen these guys be really resilient if their heads aren't blown off. Deal 1 stun damage as well. Disarm them, blind, hold, otherwise disabled. Give or take something they're holding, or push, pull, or otherwise move them.
A
Couple interesting choices there, really.
Yeah. I think I'll go with like move them
Good choice.
to scatter them about the courtyard here. Maybe one ends up like halfway hanging through a window or something like that.
I think we definitely get that like trampoline jump stuck guy. Oh, as they fly, moving away as the car swipes, kind of goes up the stairs a little. It's now all teetered off to the side, but it's all on your side, Remy. So you're right there at the door. It's like 20 feet up the stairs from you. What are you doing?
I'm gonna let myself out of the car and head up the stairs before Sparks can try to crash me into anything more.
Jumping out of the car, you head up and enter into the chateau itself. The front foyer is lovely, but you're noticing like there's crap everywhere. Like there's people have just left clothes, and there's coffee cups and bottles of whiskey and vodka, and there's just crap, a mess all around. But standing there's an enormous stairway leading up as well, and then it goes further back into the house, and you see rooms off the side. But the important thing you notice is you see a guy there. He's pretty good size. He's probably about 6'2", bulky. He's wearing a knit sweater. And you see he's holding a really large Colt revolver as you walk in. He looks at you. Wrecker sends you.
In a manner of speaking. He was with us, but he hit a dumpster a bit hard on our last landing. He'll be okay.
Just like the last job. He kind of pulls the gun back up. Oh, he's upstairs. But she's with him. And the family. The lady that brings him his drugs.
Where was that last job?
I'm so curious.
What do you do, Remy? He said, oh, he's up there. There's the mysterious she and the family. Do you head up, or you wait for Sparks, or what do you do? Ask him more?
Hesitate for a second to see if Sparks is catching up, or I don't know, maybe Sparks is just going to hang in his car like he's the getaway driver, and I need to deal with that. I don't know.
Sparks, what you doing?
No, I think you hear like a thump inside the car and you see the whole thing rock, and a thump inside the car and you see the whole thing rock as he's like kicking on the driver's side door trying to get it to open. And finally he just comes crawling awkwardly out through the same door Remy managed to get open, and he pulls on like a duffel sort of backpack that's weighted down and stuffed with the Funkadelic aerosol bomb, and he's dragging the wired together boombox in one hand and his giant like mechanics wrench in the other as it comes stomping up the stairs after you.
All right. You see, and this is just so we know that this is Tony Messia, who is Wrecker's contact, and as you come in hauling this, his eyes sort of widen. He says, help David. Hey, there ain't nothing else I can do. And he looks so upset and so sad. He's not a very good actor. So he just sort of, and kind of walks off screen. He's not like running or, bad, really bad.
Bowie's upstairs, and they say the lady gives him his drugs, and the family are with him. Not sure what that means, but I expect it to get hairy.
Wow, this place is it's a lot bigger than I was expecting. Is that what chateau means? Is that like big house?
Yes.
Huh. Well named then. Maybe we should find like this bomb. I don't know if it's going to cover everything. We need to find the central air conditioning. Set it off inside of that whole thing. Just boom through the whole place.
Does it have central air?
I mean, you're French. No one has central air in Europe in 1977.
This is a pretty old house. And most people don't have that. No one has that. There's no chance there's central air.
This is all.
What are you talking about? Is that a Kentucky
disappointing.
thing?
Well, it's right hot out in Kentucky.
That's true about Kentucky.
There at least be some sort of fan system that you could blow things around with, or some ducts somewhere you could crawl through. What sort of country is this?
One that doesn't want people to come crawling through the ducts.
It's madness. Madness, I tell you.
Them foreigners. So, with no duct system in place, what are you thinking now, Sparks?
I don't know. Guess we'll just have to throw it at them.
All right.
Well, I mean, you can use it in the room where they are.
Well, yeah, but the other way was gonna, like, all this mist was gonna come down from the vents and stuff, and it was gonna go through the whole place, and we are gonna have like background music as everyone freaked out and fell asleep all over the place. Then they'd all be helpless, and we just grab Bowie and run on. Are you not seeing it? No, fine. It's just me. Let's go. Let's go.
Remy
It's
just
fine.
kinda claps a hand on his shoulder, like, I understand the disappointment of realizing that your aesthetic is not gonna win the day. And it's a moment of almost genuine commiseration there. And then he readies his gun again. He's up the stairs.
All right. So as y'all head up, reaching the top of the stairs, it's a big landing, and it kind of does a horseshoe. There's a hallway to the left, to the right, and then there's on either side you see open rooms. These, again, there's just crap everywhere, and you see musical instruments, and you see kind of out of place like wires and recording stuff in either one of these. And then those hallways that lead, you're guessing back, like bedrooms and the normal things that would be in the upstairs of a chateau. But stepping out of one of those halls, you see a figure, his hair wild, his eyes wide, a Brian Eno. Hey, what's wrong? You seem like you're really freaking out. It's okay. Everything's fine. And as he says this, you begin to hear music from those two rooms. Sort of trippy. Sort of encompassing everything around you. One could almost say it was ambient, this music. I need for each of you to roll. Keep your cool. As you're feeling, like maybe I should just sit down and maybe smoke a joint and have some red wine and think about life. Remy, how would you like to keep your cool in this situation?
I'm looking at the list going, man, most of these don't really apply. So,
Soul?
I don't have a soul.
Mind?
I guess I'm going to buckle down and go with might.
Alrighty. And you roll, Patrick. What are you keeping your cool with?
I think it's through I like the mental fortitude on Soul, as he's seeing all these wires and the speakers everywhere, and he's like just thinking to himself like numbers and counting and thinking about the frequency of the waves and stuff like that.
Excellent. All right. So you roll yours. How'd you do, Remy?
I got an 8.
Ooh, fantastic. And Patrick, how did you do with yours?
I got an 11.
Ooh, well, you did very, very well. So, Sparks, you're kind of powering through this. You can, you know, this isn't affecting you that strongly. You're keeping your senses about you. You know, you're kind of feeling out the technology, but you, Remy, it brings back the old ennui. You know, why care? Why try? We're all going to die anyway, you magnificent bastards.
Somehow a lit cigarette is suddenly in your hand.
I know, I didn't even remember lighting that, but I'm just that French.
Were you wearing a beret before?
Shut up. It was probably in my coat.
I'm going to give you a bit of a worse outcome sort of thing here. Of, you know, you're keeping your senses about you, but you are feeling really sort of, there's no point to, you know, trying this hard. There's, you know, it's all going to work out. And if it doesn't, well, it was meant to go down the toilet anyway. So you're not overwhelmed and sinking into like a blithering unconsciousness sort of thing, but you are kind of, But Sparks, you muscle through this. What are you doing?
So I think I've got like one arm out in front of me, and I'm leaning forward and walking slowly, like against these sound waves sort of feel. And I'm just, I'm mumbling like electrical formulas and stuff to myself and looking around until my eyes like zoom in on one particular wire. And as I'm struggling forward, I reach down and grab it. And then I set off my weird alien electrical field power.
Oh, nice. Is that a roll? That just happened.
It just happens when you touch an electrical device, you can power it for a short time, short it out, which is what I'm going for. Or, well, a bit of short it out or give it a jump start, but I'm trying to, like, send this blasting surge through to the speakers so they sort of, like, blow up and feedback and everything like that.
Excellent. As it, and there begins this noise, and, like, the subwoofers start, and the playbacks are distorting all the voices. A little ways, several blocks, maybe a mile away, a young man looks up, says, "That sounds so industrial." And so Skinny Puppy was formed. But here inside the chateau, Brian Eno goes, "No, my soundscape." And he seems to be like, oh, as he drops down. Remy, you shake this off. As you look over, Brian Eno is kind of hovered back, going, no. What are you doing, Remy?
I drop the cigarette right on the carpet or flooring and stuff and stomp it out with the heel of my boot. And pull my Luger back out of my coat from where I tucked it away because I was too busy having ennui to aim. And I'm gonna narrow it on Brian Eno and demand to know where Bowie is.
He looks up, his eyes wide. I don't think I'm going to make you roll on this one. I think we're going to push through. Brian Eno will turn over. Back there, with Natasha. Points. Sparks, what do you do?
As we're walking by, I just sort of like backhand Brian Eno with the giant wrench that I have and knock him to the ground as we continue determinedly down the hallway towards the big, I'm assuming, double doors.
He goes, and it kind of echoes and does a little distortion thing, and then it reverbs into kind of a slow, smooth sound as he passes out.
Stop taking the edges off of your noise!
As you walk down this corridor, the two of you, armed and ready. There are doors on either side, but it's clear. It's that double door set at the end that is your goal, because you can hear from behind it the sounds of music. You could see underneath it flashing lights underneath the door. But as you come down the hallway, stepping from either side are two of those Germans in their black trench coats. 9. You shall not pass. Sparks, I'm going to start with you. What do you do?
I'm gonna turn to one of them, sort of hold up a finger, carefully slip my wrench back into its belt loop because I mean this is a quality tool. It's a craftsman's piece, and I don't want to like mess it up. And then I bring the speakers dramatically up onto my shoulder.
As you did the wait a minute, they kind of and looked at each other. As you bring the boombox up,
are there cassettes, or is this going to be like radio that I'm tuning into?
I'm guessing you could have it as an 8-track.
Ooh, better. Yes, 8-track. So there's a button I press, the little like or no, you just slip it in. So yeah, pull it out from like a holster on my belt, giant 8-track, just right into the slot, play on top, and then there's like crackle, crackle, turn the knob up as the static comes into. We'll go with Parliament.
All right. As the hissing moves, all of a sudden we hear Bootsy Collins and that bass. George Clinton comes in. Yeah, the mothership is landing. These guys go, no, it's Das Funk. They writhe back. Remy, what do you do?
I'm pretty sure they're going to explode, but just in case, I'm gonna pop a shot at one of them.
Why don't we roll that smoke his ass? And you roll well enough, I might let you just go ahead and pop them both.
I got a 9, so not awesome, but...
Sounds like maybe some brothers helping you out, though.
True,
yeah.
that was Funk.
Yeah, and I mean, that's gotta be Soul, right? Or no, it's Bonds, isn't it? That's what.
Yeah, it's Bonds for help a brother out. Y'all tight.
Oh dear.
Uh-oh.
That's a 5.
Ooh. Well, you are all involved now. It's a 9. So with a 9 on Smoke His Ass, you get to choose one. You expose yourself to danger, or you deal less damage. What you thinking?
I'll go with deal less damage this time, because I assume the Funk is already dealing a bunch of damage.
All right, you whip across, bam, bam, shooting over towards both of them. And you hit them both. And so they sort of stagger back. And you see the green spray on the walls. These beautiful, unbelievably historical wallpaper now sprayed with green alien blood. Vampire blood. As they sort of stagger forward. And as they're leaning down, their heads explode, sending shards of head all in your direction. Both of you coated in head goo. That's going to be 2 damage to each of you as this acidic head goo kind of, starts burning at you. How are y'all looking for harm?
I have 4. When does it start affecting you?
It starts affecting you at 4, I believe. It'll be...
I've only got 3, but yeah.
So 4 harm is broken, bloodied, and bruised. Fun. Possible broken bones or concussion. All rolls at -1 while you have 4 or more harm. 3 is just bruised and bloodied, not broken.
So the 2 of you are splattered in this, and we can see like the sizzle. They have coming up from your clothes, and both of you are staggering around. But they're out, their heads explode. I mean, once head explodes, that's pretty much it. And the doors ahead of you. The funk is playing, though. It's loud. What do you do, Remy? You're the least damaged. I'll go with you. What do you do?
Well, first, I rip off my coat and throw it on the ground because their blood is on it, and it's oozing down into me, and I want as little of that on me as possible. And then, I'm probably gonna keep charging on forward because I don't have a med kit or anything with me. Sparks can be tough.
All
He's
right.
a spy.
You rush forward and put your shoulder down and slam into these doors. Poof! They bust open, and you see this scene. An enormous bed. It's white covers, white sheets. Now they're crimson with old and new blood. You see laying there in it is David Bowie. He's drawn. Attached to him is an IV leading up to a bottle, and then you see more of that computer bank. Lights. You see his blood flowing into it. Beside him, you see a woman in a white lab coat. She has a tight bun. She also has a hammer and sickle patch right there on the coat, so you do not mistake what's going on here. On either side of the bed, we see two more of our Germans in their coats. But as you bust open the door and the funk starts moving in, it sort of overwhelms the sound that's going on in there, which is electronica. Awful, terrible electronica. As the doors have opened and you can hear it fully, you recognize it, Sparks. It is the sound of the Ghoul Stars music. So terrible, so awful, so soulless. Sparks, you're right behind. What are you doing?
Well, I want this to be very clear, flat out refuse to give in to Remy's mind games. So I rip off not only my denim jacket, but also my shirt.
Oh, yeah.
I am there, bare-chested and slightly 70s muscled, which is more like tone and thin all over.
And
And of course,
Snyder's fine looking with no shirt on.
he's doing good for himself, yeah. But yes, I set down the boombox, and as I'm like ripping things off me, the backpack comes off too, and I pull out the funkadelic aerosolic tack bomb and hurl it into the room through the open doors over Remy's head as he's sort of coming back to his feet.
Slams down. The pink mist begins to flow around the room. So now we've got pink mist and the lights coming through behind it. The two vampires that are there at the foot of the bed who turn to look and are looking down at Remy going, like they're going to attack as this mist hits them. And they begin peeling back their human-looking skin until we, for the first time, see their full form, and they're all reptilian and black, and they have that, again, one tooth that has a sharp, pointy fangs, and they huge reptilian eyes with yellow and the slitted pupil, and and they're writhing underneath this. Natasha, back there next to the bed, looks over. You cannot stop the Soviet Red Tide! And she reaches down into her pocket of the coat and she pulls out a scalpel and holds it next to Bowie's neck. You will leave here, or the rock and roller will die. Remy, what do you do?
I'm not at -1 yet, so I hope I'm gonna make it, because I want to do the completely ridiculous trick shot thing and, like, shoot the scalpel out of her hand.
All right. I don't think this is a smoke his ass. I think this is going to be a keep your cool. And what do you think you're using for it?
Well, either hustle or brains, because I'm acting fast versus quick thinking.
Okay, what you
I
think?
don't think it's very charming. Well, I've got the same bonus to either of them, so I guess I'll go with hustle, because I think brains would tell me that you should not do this kind of thing.
All right, roll it. I'll hold and wait to see if a brother can help you out. Let's see instead first how good the roll is.
It's a 10.
Oh, you're killing me. All right. Scalpel. She goes, ah! Scalpel. And we see that slow-mo of it spinning before it begins its descent straight down towards Bowie's beautiful face. What are you doing, Sparks?
I'm diving! The world must be saved! The people need this! I will sacrifice my own body if need be!
That sounds like it's going to be a keep your cool with you.
I guess it sort of has to be hustle.
Yeah, maybe brains, but yeah, one of those two.
Actually, no, I think what it is gonna argue for soul, because I think it's serenity. As I think like the lights are flashing and I hear the music behind me, the funk just flows through me, and I know exactly where I have to be and how I could get there.
Perfect. Roll it up.
That's a 10.
You dive across with a 10. That's a great roll. So what is the description? Now, you know, immediately you probably would have had to take the hit for it, but this is perfect. How does it look?
I think I come diving in just as the scalpel is coming down, and I grab him by the wrist and sort of wrap his arm up as we go tumbling down, and I stand up and I have it looks almost serious, but it's a very sort of sexy cut across his chest that begins dripping just the right amount of blood to sort of outline his stomach, and comes up and he's got his fists up and I'll save you, David Bowie. I guess. Oh, we're deep in it at this point.
And as you pulled him, you pulled away the IV so that there's a bit of blood, but it's a tasteful amount of blood, just enough to see the red against the pale skin of his arm. And as you pull him to the side, he says something in a language that for the theater goer, that, you know, they get subtitles, but we can see in your faces you recognize your own language. As he says, take your protein pills and put your helmet on. You stand up, facing Natasha. She, disarmed, is seething in Soviet rage. Now, it's communist rage, so a lot of people are also feeling it too. What are you doing, Remy?
I think I'm gonna take, a proper shot at Natasha now that Bowie's not immediately in danger.
Let's smoke her ass.
Well, that's a 6.
Ooh. You fire.
I can only do things if they're cinematic.
You fire, and so quickly that you can barely see, she dodges it. Moving back towards the window, she looks back at you. I want to say, I'm just dying to say, moose and squirrel! But she goes, you may have stopped me now, but you will not stop the Soviet Empire. And she's moving towards the window. Sparks, you have one last second of something to do. You're standing there bare chest, a tasteful amount of blood matting in your blondie chest hair. What are you doing?
So you said the IV had come out of David Bowie's arm?
Yes.
I am going to grab it and sort of start whipping it around like a lasso above my head and throw it at her. So this I'm aiming for the tip of the IV to like go into the back of her neck, and she gets this whole blast from whatever they're pumping into David Bowie.
Oh, I love it. Do we think that's a beatdown, or do we think that's a smoke?
I mean, if I had choice, I'd go with the blind hold or disable from beatdown.
Let's go with beatdown.
Oh, that's a terrible roll for me.
Well, we'll see. Maybe a brother could help you out, but let's have the roll first.
That's a 3.
Oh. Well, okay. With that in mind,
How is it a -2?
we'll give a chance for a brother to help you out. But I'm going to say first we kind of see what will happen without it. As, you know, the spike moves across and she dives through the window to, you know, get away. As this tube and its needle go flying past her. Remy, you think you can? How can you help a brother out in this instance?
I think I just drop the gun, lunge after her, and kind of grab her so she can't hell off through the window, so she's still in range when it hits where she would have been.
Let's roll then. Your hooks, you have at least one. Do you have a second one?
But I can roll +4 because when helping a wounded comrade, you can roll plus their harm instead of your hooks.
Oh, that is fantastic.
Because I'm military, so woo.
All right.
That's an awesome move.
I was hoping it would eventually come up, but I didn't want people to get hurt. So that's 13.
Oh, that's magnificent. All right, Patrick, you can roll one more die. Let's see if it helps.
So that becomes oh damn it, that's an 8 minus the 2 is still a 6.
All right. As Remy leaps across and grabs her, you fling this IV over there, hoping to wrap her up so you can catch this terrible Soviet spy. But where Remy had grabbed her, instead of wrapping the needle, hits her in the eye and sinks deep into her head. As she teeters there on the edge of the window, she says, "Oh, Mother Russia, I've always believed capitalism was better. I cannot believe that we have been fooling ourselves for all of these many, many decades. It is terrible that we have done this. Ah!" And dies. Because, of course, it's a Hollywood movie. But she collapses there. Remy, she is teetering out the window. Will you hold her, or is she go twirling out the side?
I think I'm going to let her go twirling out the side.
And as she smacks there, she says, "Oh," and dies. On the floor, David is mumbling, but he hauls himself up. He looks marvelous. Stands. "You've saved me." Looking around the room. You're my heroes. And we're going to go to epilogues. So, Sparks, I'm going to give you first epilogue. As the scene shows Bowie standing there, you've gotten some impression that there's a kinship between you. What is your epilogue?
I think you see Sparks in his truck. You know, he's got it back. He's obviously buffed out some of the burn damage, but it's still got some like dents and pings from all the explosions. And we hear the soundtrack coming up here of Heroes, because obviously. And the camera like pans over to the passenger seat, and there's like an 8-track case that's got a big signature. It's obviously signed from David Bowie with, you know, thanks, buddy, sort of thing. And then the camera pans up and sort of out of the cab as the water is flowing off of it as it drives up onto a beach, and goes like swerving through a couple of like volleyball nets set up and some beach tents and stuff up onto it, turns onto a road, and drives by a sign that just says "Welcome to Sydney."
Fantastic, fantastic. And I can almost imagine as you're going down the road and the music's playing, we see a young man who hears this music, and he's inspired and says, you know, I could bless the rains down in Africa. Remy, what do we see in your epilogue?
I think we see Remy back in France, talking in his perfect Parisian French, and we get subtitles and everything, saying that. And I know I was wrong. I'm almost certain now that he wasn't a Soviet. I think both of them weren't of this world.
Oh, I love it. And I think we see your handler across the desk kind of nod. Perhaps you would like a little time off, Agent Belarus.
And you can see him going, no, but this is true. I'm not just crazy or something. He's like, yes, maybe I do need some.
Excellent. And so we fade to black. Then we pull back up, and we see a reporter sitting down with Angela Bowie. It's Dietrich. I tell you, I think it was just, the normal thing with making an album. David seems fine, and she's just fuming. In fact, I think he and your daughter are going to be going on a little vacation. I think he and Miss Haig are planning to go and visit the countryside. And she's just lividly angry. We pull back up. We see a car driving fast around the curves of California Highway. A phone rings. He see a large black man's hand pick up this chunky phone with its cord reaching down. Just see the phone in the side of the face. Yeah. Oh, shit. Just tell me it's not going to be like the last job. Fades back down. Credits roll, credits roll. Then it pulls back up. And we see Iggy Pop at the top of a burnout building going, hey, can somebody help me down? Hey! And a little old German woman on the bottom floor goes, be quiet, you rock and roller. You are going to cause me knowing the problems. Slam the door. End of movie. Finn. And that is our serious Moonlight.
Amazing.
Every time you say serious Moonlight, I'm like, there was never a worse misnomer.
I would like to apologize to Tom McGrinery for exactly how this ended up being ran. I don't know if he intended for it to be quite so broad. but it is certainly a fucking amazing module. Tom, this is brilliant. It gave so much, and I feel like I had all the support I could ever want as a GM from it. So much cool stuff in it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like for us, we got a little time. I'd like a Roses and Thorns. It's just the three of us. I hate that we lost our other two because I'd love to have heard their opinions. I would have loved to have known what the last job was. But with the three of us, let's do some Roses and Thorns. And let's start with Thorns. And Patrick, any thorns you have for this? For folks at home, thorns are kind of things that I wish we'd have done more of, things about the setting, about the system, about how I ran, about, just things that went up that I was, this didn't work for me. I could have liked this to go better. This could have been different, that sort of thing. Patrick, any thorns?
I wish Michael and David had been with us through the rest of the run. I liked both of them a lot, and especially David's character was just wonderful. And I would have loved to see him in this last one. I mean, we've talked before about thorns / issues I have with the Spirit of 77 system. It's incomplete in some areas, and I think like overdoes it and sort of repetitious in some other areas. But I love the feel that it gives. I do like the mixing of playbooks. So I guess it's a mixed bag with Spirit of 77. I don't really have a lot of thorns for this. I didn't have a lot of problems with the module or with the game sessions.
Oh, cool. Thank you though for that. Ryan, any thorns? And again, it across the broad spectrum of what we played and the system and all those sort of things.
Yeah. So I guess sort of similarly, I was interested to play Spirit of 77 because you'd mentioned that it has the 2-tier character development, and that was fun. I liked seeing how weird characters we ended up with, like the grease monkey alien. You can't just do that from a straight playbook so easy. The XP system is still subpar. I can't think of a nice thing to say about it. It is so slow, and I can't imagine how you would play this game for so long that made sense. And I guess it comes from my having people bogged down for hours in trad games, but when I see you have this much money, you can buy things with it, I immediately go, no, fuck you, and throw the book. So I did that at this point. I still have all my starting money. I will say about Serious Moonlight, that when I first read it, I was like, I don't think I really grok this, and I re-looked it. I looked over it again as we started, but in play, it made a lot of sense. The whole Conspiramate, I think I kind of looked at and just didn't quite get what he was going for, and it didn't really click until you started talking about, well, this is Iggy Pop. He knows a lot about what's going on, and that sort of worked. So that's not really a thorn, I guess, so much as sometimes I can't figure out what they're saying when I read it, but then it works when you actually play it, so I had to give it a shot.
Awesome. Thank you. I will say, kind of talking about Spirit of 77, there is an issue, I think, kind of with the XP on a couple of levels. Spirit of 77 bills itself as playing an action movie. It doesn't imply campaign gaming. With an XP system that is fairly slow, that's an odd choice. When they talk about campaign gaming with Spirit of 77, it's you do a movie and you have a recurrent character that will play more movies. But it still ends up for a rather odd thing that goes on with it. That I do have a bit of a problem with. At least it does have fail forward for XP gain, which, I've played some games here recently that don't, and that can be a real stymie for XP gaining, like Pig Smoke. Pig Smoke is very slow in that. But with Spirit of 77, I think that its XP system doesn't exactly make me happy, just because how it's set up, with this idea of it's a movie, it's episodic. You think that would move forward. The moves themselves, I think, are pretty good and pretty evocative. I like to think I hit a bunch of them in variety, but then I look down and I see that we didn't scope scene at all. I don't think I ever had a scope a scene. Maybe that was because of the actiony style we were using, but we never really scoped scene much. We didn't give the third degree. I probably should have hit that at some moments. So that's, more of a thorn for me. Maybe I wasn't accessing the game as much as I probably should have. I'll get to some roses for the system in a minute, but the moves themselves, they don't always seem to hit every particular. We adapted some things. I felt like that worked. We talked about some that I could have done differently in adapting. So that's my thoughts on Spirit of 77 is I continue always have fun when I run it, even if I don't always think it gives me everything I want. But I've never had a game of Spirit of 77 that I did not have fun with. I mean, I have never had one. This module, it's hard to come up with any thorn for it because I think it was so well thought out and so well done. I will say that maybe he sort of said Gumshoe was the thing to work with it on. I'll say there's a lot to it that is go to person, go to person, go to person, go to person. That can get a little repetitive. But I'm going to come to some roses that are going to, I think, overshadow any thorn I possibly have with this module. But if anything, I think that there is a little bit of that. I'm moving to hit spot, hit spot, hit spot. Like I say, I think I'm going to overshadow that with some roses. As for my gameplay on it, I did feel like that for the most part everything went well, but I do think that I probably overused certain moves and made it seem a little samey. And I hate if that was the case. And as a general thorn, Michael was amazing in that first one. I hated to lose him. David's Wrecker was phenomenal through 2. I hated to not have him with us tonight. But as we mentioned, the ring will take their own. So we'll see which one of you two gets disappeared after this one. No, guys, we wish you had been here, and your characters certainly influence a lot of what happened. So a thorn is, we missed y'all. Now let's do some roses, which is far more fun. Patrick, roses for Serious Moonlight.
Just all the aspects. Again, the Conspiramid, and what I'm choosing to read as the Glampire Pyramid, both amazing. Just a great conception, wonderful wordplay, and just looking at the names on the Conspiramid, I looked at half of them. I was like, I want to interact with those people, and then I read the descriptions for the half that I didn't know, and I was like, I want to interact with those people. So it's a really great choice on an NPC cast. I thought everything about this was fun. I love the tone that you generally tend to hit with Spirit of 77, which is very much that like high action, high comedy, and occasional moments of good drama sort of thing. And I always think that's fun. I liked playing the visitor playbook. It was a playbook that didn't give me a ton that I played with in the game, although it came up with a couple times. But I more consistently went to the grease monkey moves. But like just getting the chance to play the alien and my choice to say fuck it, I want an aquatic car because that makes no sense, ended up paying off so well. And I definitely missed Michael and David. They were both amazing, and I like how their characters shaped where we were going, and I was all like, poor Dietrich when he got just killed on the street there. But Remy was fucking phenomenal. Like, thank you, Ryan, for the constant foil sort of relationship between them of one-upsmanship and mugging for the camera and acting like we all already knew that already sort of thing. It was just great to keep doing that little rise and rise and rise throughout the whole series. And Tyler, it was fun to see you go through various and sundry horrible European accents and different sorts of personalities for all the various people that we kept sort of shotgunning through. And I know David loved it, and it will live on in my mind forever. But that guy from the last one screaming, "No, das Funk!" and his head exploding is one of my favorite moments in a game ever.
Thank you very much. And yeah, there was a ton of fun with that. Ryan, roses from you, please.
A lot of the same territory, I feel. I mean, for system-wide roses and stuff, I really like the two-tier character thing on here, just because that, I mean, playbooks are very fun. You can pick up and go, but if you put a bit more time into there, it's fun that, like, I was the hot one, the hotter than Sparks one, and yet also I have war vet things, and that Sparks was also the visitor, and oh my goodness, it was so much fun playing off your visitor, because I was going, oh no, I'm the spy who keeps dropping hints that I'm a spy, but you're an alien, so I mean, how obvious can I be? And I really hope that Remy goes off to join the Men in Black or something.
That whole back and forth and like who's on first Russian spy alien thing was amazing.
And I loved all that. You're like, this is how laundromats work. Everyone has a lab in there. And, well, get your kitchen x-ray. Well, okay, fine, your guest room x-ray. Anyway, the game was a ton of fun. I had a bit of hesitation going into it because I don't know the 70s, and I know some Bowie because how can you not? But I didn't recognize, like, any of the games of the Conspiramid besides the fact that I had listened to a Brian Eno album once, and that's it. But I didn't feel like I was lost, so thanks for making it work. And as I was saying in the chat, the best part of the recap was just the rapid-fire recapping of all the voices you did last time. It was hilarious. I also really liked the tying in the, and we don't have budget for this, so let's describe how bad it looks on camera.
Thank you. My roses for the system, as I said before, Spirit of 77 always is fun to me. No matter what, and I do feel like I have a certain love of that period, you know. I'm old, but even 1977 is, you know, I was a very small kid in 1977, so I don't remember it well. But I was alive. But the feel of it is really neat. And I think there's something in the system that it's bringing in some problematic subjects. You know, if you play Spirit of 77, you're looking at blaxploitation films. You're looking at the kind of Asian films where everyone is kung fu. You're looking at some of the worst of stereotypes of like the rednecks in the hills, and you know, it like glorifies and revels in the worst ends of things. But at the same time, it brings out some of these amazing, strong characters. Those playbooks make you go, okay, yeah, blaxploitation had its problems, but then I look at Pam Grier and I look at Shaft and I say, these are some of the most fucking, or Dolomite, and I say these are some of the most fucking amazing characters ever to get on screen. You know, yes, these kung fu movies are a little bit on the edge of, you know, offensive, but there's Bruce Lee and there's Jackie Chan, and these are amazing things that are happening. So I think it does a good job of empowering in that situation. And I think that's cool because I think it's worth looking back and say, this was the theater that gave us stars that would have otherwise not gotten an opportunity. And I think that's something that Spirit of 77 does. So I think that's cool about the game. It's also funny. It's a funny fucking game. It is, the move labels and the things that you do are weird and wacky and huge. And there's a lot of story that can be told here. I tend to go for the big action and kind of that edge of drama, action, comedy. But you could easily do a Serpico, deep dive, gritty sort of game where it's a detective story with it. So Spirit of 77, despite its problems, is a game I feel certain I will run it again. I will run it again, and I will probably love the game that comes out of it. This scenario, Tom, you did everything to make it come alive. Everything about it is so interesting and neat, and he leaves so many open spaces. He doesn't give definitives about what's going on. He just gives options. And all of them are super neat. We had the Wards and Banes. I went with funk music, which is on his list. Also on his list is Sunlight or Wild Roses or Independent Women. How awesome is a Bane for these vampires? It's Independent Women. I mean, there's such great things he put in here. We didn't delve into, but one of their Banes was LSD. We could have had them trip themselves to death. There was so much to give there. The Conspiramid, I love the phrase. I could say Conspiramid forever. It's brilliant. Everyone on it, when I went and did the research to see them, are interesting people. I'm glad I got to have a moment with Brian Eno. I hope, Brian, if you watch this, it was done with love. Making him wild and wacky and having an actual scene where we're overcome by ambient music. I thought that was fun. And then he had his glam pyramid, which was where we kind of, it's where I used one, let me get that for you, which is where they're going to do you a favor that's terrible, killing off this journalist that was going to report you, which then led to the, if you can't beat them, of an offer to come in and join us. You'll stay with David forever. Live wonderful. That sort of thing. So again, all of his support was really good, and his locations and everything. It's a really neat module, and I think it could be run. It certainly could be run different than I did, but it could probably be. I could probably run it again, and it'd be different. Other people, more capable hands, could run it in very different and very interesting ways. So great module. And finally, well, not completely finally, I'm going to brag on me a bit. I'm going to say I liked what I did in some of these moments. I loved our action moments where we built up bigger. I like to believe I gave space for people to do cool and awesome things. So I'm going to brag on me a little bit. I felt like I gave enough space in this one. Doesn't always happen. Sometimes I talk over that. I felt like I did that okay this one. Finally, everyone who played was magnificent. Every character was so cool. Mike was only here for one session, but that character was neat and interesting and was important for what happened. David came in with Wrecker, who was a phenomenal character, and that playthrough of the Last Job. I think every one of us wants to see the movie of The Last Job. So amazing play from him. And you two were sublime. All of your interactions were so good. Your dedication to what these characters were like was so good. Sparks, it was so funny and well done how you kept bringing it back to, obviously I'm not an alien, I'm a Kentuckian. And you made it work. I mean, it wasn't like it was just, no, we're from France. It was of the Coneheads. It was much more of a, You know, well, of course, here in Kentucky, we would have all these things wrapped back in so well. And along with that, you did a lot of the work of solving the problem. You were effective as well as funny and interesting in driving the story. You actually solved the problems. Remy, that character was kind of our main thread through it. You were the government agent who had the capability of finding out things. We got to use some of the moves that I was worried we wouldn't get to use. I was glad you got to use that. Can call someone in. You bringing up that military move at the end, though, that was I had forgotten that. That was fucking brilliant. But the character itself was sweet and interesting, and the cover was really great and real in itself, so that when you went to the spy, it seemed like a different person. And that's really good role play. You know, that first time in second session where we're inside of the, starting to burn up flat, and you went for the gun and were very professional. Was so beautifully done. It was such a difference from what we'd seen from the character. And that's really good role play. So thank you both for leaning into the game, but also really having your characters that you were dedicated to and maintain the integrity of their character. So thank you all very much. So any other comments?
Since I can rose a rose, because I don't know, that sounds French. You were saying the giving people space for things, and I liked how you encouraged us to describe a little more, but without supplying the description, like, oh, so do you slide across the car hood, or what do you do? And I'm like, yes, I do, and also I do this other thing, where I'm trying not to take up too much time, and you're like, no, here's a prompt, take up extra time, make it better.
Yeah, because I always want to hear what y'all do, because y'all are always going to come up with the way better stuff than I will. So, again, thank you all for leaning into it. If there are no other roses, no other comments, Patrick?
I have a quick thorn for the world, which is that I've spent the last half hour trying to find some Photoshop picture of like a pickup truck dancing with dolphins in the water, and it's not out there. And what's wrong with the world?
Like a squid in the bed of the truck.
I mean, surely some Ford owner has gone swimming with dolphins like, wow, I wish I could take my truck doing that.
I find it hard to believe that one has not done that, yes.
See?
Oh, well. But I'm going to, for anybody watching, I'm going to put up a playlist of what we had as our musical cues during the course of the game in the description. If anybody watched this, thank you. And watch more. And I suppose to close it out, thank both of you for being here for last session. Thank you, Tom, for making this magnificently good scenario. I love David Bowie. David Bowie meant a lot to me through my life. And actually, Tom gave so much history to this that I learned new things. And that's something you don't always get from a game. So thank you very much, Tom. And finally, David Kazia and Bob Richardson, thank you for making this game. I actually think David Kazia is a lot of his stuff really, really neat. He does those double-tiered things a bit, and I think that's a lot of fun. I do like that in the game. So, I guess that's as many kudos as I'm going to get. So I'm going to end the broadcast. So, good night.